This one doesn't have a V8 engine anymore, but it accelerates as if it did. It's the all-new Dodge Charger Scat Pack 6-pack, and they've brought me here to beautiful Tennessee to test it exclusively. This is the first official drive, and I'll explain what it means to go from a V8 Hemi to just 6 cylinders. And the route they've given me is called the Tail of the Dragon. It's very dangerous with a warning sign at the entrance because the area is accident-prone. They tell us to be careful, yet want us to push the new Dodge Charger. Who can figure them out? Will it remain a muscle car? Well, yes, but it's completely different from what you knew. Welcome. And let's start with the design, because the presence of this Dodge Charger is imposing. There are some things happening here on the aerodynamic level. I'll explain what they did with the hood soon, since it's different. The front now has a wider, more functional grille. There's a center strip on top and plenty of cooling and air intake for the new engine, including below. This one is 2 inches wider than the previous Charger's wide-body version. I also really like how this logo is integrated. It's illuminated, just like the whole strip. Let's say this really is an identity. What? The daytime running light goes across, let's say, the entire width of the front. And, obviously, the lights use LED technology. Are you going to see the hood a bit more raised now? Yes, it's bigger. It has an aerodynamic function. They put this in the wind tunnel, and that's why its dimensions are almost surgically precise. There, to improve the aerodynamics of the new Dodge Charger. Here, you'll have 20-inch alloy wheels. The new logo looks great on this wheel. Let me know how much you like it. Also, Brembo brakes with 6 pistons. I'll share how they perform during the test drive, especially with frequent downhill driving and heavy use. Let's test the new Charger's brakes. From the side, it features a fastback-style design. Its widened wheel arches and tense lines convey strength even when still. The rear keeps the Dodge signature look. It's redesigned, but still clearly a Dodge. A continuous light strip connects both ends, featuring a functional diffuser and dual exhaust outlets. There, announcing that there's still real gasoline. With this beautiful fastback design and sculpted look, wide hips, and a spoiler that highlights its beauty, we press the button. So, what do you think? Did it lose or gain trunk space? Well, let me show you. Let's take a look at the trunk. Look, it's a huge space. On the contrary, it actually grew by more than 127%. The engineers and designers tell us. The cargo space compared to the old Charger. Now, even by folding down the rear seat, the backrest. Rear seat. There are people who go to the grocery store and put plywood boards in here. They're using it, let's say, in many ways with a lot of versatility. Now, the main story focuses on the engine, the main character. This is the 6-pack. This is the Hurricane 6-pack high-performance engine, the high output. The Dodge Charger no longer has its signature Hemi V8. Now it features the 6-pack, and it says it right here. Look closely. It's nice, prominent. It's an engine that, let's say, in its aesthetic design, of course, is quite covered. Here with its bar, to make sure everything stays in place, in all those curves we've taken. Anyway, do you have a 3.0-liter engine? It's twin-turbo. We'll also check turbo lag during the test drive, and it's capable of generating up to 550 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. It's a serious engine, but obviously, this engine needs to be put to the test. And where better than on the tail of the dragon? There. And the moment you start driving here on the tail of the dragon, the tenor of the dragon. Driving through those 17 kilometers made especially to fit a car like this. Honestly, what you feel is immediate torque. It's a delight. The way it pushes is so nice, so delicious. The engine of the C Special Purpose Acquisition Company of the Charger. I don't notice. Look, you can't tell. I'm accelerating and pushing it to the limit wherever the terrain allows. And you don't notice any turbo lag. The power is really there at your disposal. No delays. And what a beautiful road, huh? There's a reason it's a favorite among enthusiasts, both motorcyclists and sports car drivers who come here to test them, because this is truly spectacular. Notice something, the precision of the steering. Let's see, it's a little sluggish, but I think it gives you enough confidence to push the vehicle to the limit in every curve that this setting presents to you. And there I saw a sign where they warned us, watch out, there are patrol units keeping an eye out there. After you saw a foothill, right behind it is forest. To slow down, that's why I relax a bit. I regulate the RPMs there, and we go a bit more calmly because we don't want to fine a ticket, as they call it here. What about the traction? I'm glad you asked. Traction on the wheels. When you put it in overdrive, the wheels grip the asphalt almost with surgical precision. I really like the driving feel. It gives you confidence. But if you put it in rear-wheel drive, with rear traction, that's the only time I've felt that the vehicle, let's say, comes alive with that sense of freedom. It fishtails, let's say, a little bit, but in a controlled way, right? With that control, obviously, it depends on the input or command you give it. But does it give you the confidence to drive it with rear-wheel drive? And push it a little bit? There in the corners, feeling that natural movement of the body. Of course, in some of the sharper corners, you can feel the weight of a vehicle that's almost 2 tons. Yes, you can feel it, but this definitely has a sporty feel. I mean, the Charger DNA, it hasn't lost its essence. How quickly could this Dodge Charger with the C Special Purpose Acquisition Company engine accelerate from 0 to 60 mph or 0 to 97 km/h? How fast can it do it? Well, in less than 4 seconds. That's impressive because we're talking about a vehicle that weighs almost 2 tons. That's the Charger, which is supposed to be a vehicle, let's say, the muscle car. In previous years, it didn't even get close. I mean, it started reaching 5 or 6 seconds, and that was amazing. Now we're talking about less than 4 seconds. That, ladies and gentlemen, is impressive. Also, all-wheel drive is standard. But the most fun part is that you can disconnect the front axle with just the press of a button and turn it into a real wild wheel drive. A pure rear-wheel drive. Perfect for having fun drifting or just enjoying each of those curves where we had a great time out there on the tail of the Dragon. And how much has the interior changed? I'll let you know about that in a moment. But first, give the video a like if you're enjoying it. Welcome to the Freedy Car Power 360 community, where I share exclusive reviews like this. Also, I get first-hand news from manufacturers and executives. You'll find it on my channel, so please subscribe. Many watch but don't subscribe, so I encourage you to do so. Let's head inside to see the changes. I have to say, it's a great experience. I really liked it. Let's look at the steering wheel. Widen the camera to show this perforated leather-wrapped wheel. I like it. Flat bottom at the top and bottom, very ergonomic. It looks really good. Good job. Here are the drive modes. Let's see what you have here. The snow mode, wet terrain, the custom mode that you can personalize, the sport mode that deactivates traction, and the automatic mode. The instrument cluster is very nice, as well as the infotainment section, and the screen is oriented toward the driver. Different levels here, all across the dashboard. Notice the beautiful ambient lighting, which you can also reconfigure to change colors. If you don't like red, this red is really nice. Red is kind of synonymous with sporty. And there it says Charger. This console is really beautiful. The dashboard, and also the center console. With the pistol grip shifter for the transmission, it has an 8-speed automatic transmission. Start here. Check the button. These details. Here, like carbon fiber, we have good functionality, versatile cup holders, and a bit more space. The red bucket-style seats look nice with their perforation. And even though it's a coupe, the wheelbase is longer than the previous Charger, the immediately previous model. So the only difficulty would be getting in. Access, since it has 2 doors instead of 4. But the rest, in terms of comfort. Seat. This is a place for enthusiasts, where you get to take a turn. Well, here nobody overtakes on a turn, but where you get to take a turn and you lose a bit of control. And if someone comes from the opposite direction, well, that's where the surprise comes. That's when our luck ended. We ran into a Bronco coming toward us. It's a different style and purpose of vehicle, and doesn't have the same excitement as a Charger. Let's check if the double yellow line lets us go farther. a space where we can pass. They warned us to be careful because there are several cliffs on such sharp curves. You need to keep good control of the vehicle. That's why this area is prone to accidents. I mean, this isn't good at all for a drunk person because here you'd totally lose. But look, this part is just like in the movies, right? With the winter leaves? No. Autumn and winter leaves get blown up by passing cars, just like in the movies. I've experienced that feeling several times. This is a road. It's a route that's very, very suitable for motorcyclists and sports cars. You can bring your Porsche here. In fact, speaking of Porsche, one just passed me. I don't know if the camera caught it. It was coming from the opposite direction. But of course, this is where you come to test it out, right? Bring your Gran Turismo racer, bring your Supra, bring your BRZ. If it's a Subaru, well, from here, any rear-wheel drive. You're going to have a great time on the tail of the dragon. I think you should check out the seats. It would be nice if they had a little more side support. Some seats that give you a bit more resistance, more support. In terms of ergonomics for daily driving, you won't have any problems. But when you bring your vehicle here to the tail of the dragon or similar roads, you do need a bit more lateral support in my opinion. And now I'm going to talk to you a bit about the content you have here on this infotainment screen, because it's really good content. Let's see. What we have here are, for example, the cameras. Look at all the camera views it has, the different angles. It's very complete. This is phenomenal. There you have your camera angle levels, and you also have information here about the sensor range. Well, everything. Where are your sensors and cameras located? Here you have the dashboard with the options for the content that the charger has. What we're used to, the options to compete for racing, performance, Pelas, and also the performance pages. There you'll have all the fun features it gives you in the driving modes. Here you have data on torque, power, revolutions per minute, and the history of your best time records. Well, all of this is for the enthusiast. Controls to adjust the mirror, the cameras that we already saw, and here you can also access the general settings of the vehicle. You have your map, a nice definition of the map and everything it is. You have comfort for each climate control digitally, and you also have some analog buttons here for the climate control. Look at the route the global positioning system gives me. Look at the route. That's it. That's the dragon's tail. That's why they call it the dragon's tail. It looks great on the global positioning system, and we're already descending here. With caution, we have it in sport mode, where it releases the traction control, turns off the traction control, and the brakes. How does it handle? Does it have brakes? Brembo? I think I already told you, 6 pistons. Well, honestly, I find them quite consistent now, especially since we're going downhill. On the dragon's tail, where you almost have to apply the brakes several times. It has good consistency and modulation, which also gives you a lot of confidence to come and do a route like this. Does it feel like a muscle car? Yes, slightly lighter than the previous model. I haven't seen the exact numbers, but it seems a bit lighter, right? With a good one. Of course, we're not saying the previous one was a Gemi V8. Here it's a 6-cylinder, and have we already arrived at our destination? That's what you're saying. It feels like a muscle car, lighter, precise, and confident to drive in sport mode. And well, it's really delightful to have the opportunity for a test drive like this, so it's one of the most satisfying ones I've done this year. This Dodge Charger also has fun features. It has line lock, which is the system that locks the front axle and leaves the rear one free to do burnouts, so it only has rear-wheel drive, and that way you can make smoke and burn the tire. It also has launch control, so you can tackle that hill. We have the now model, called Ioncia. Ioncia. I don't call it Ioncia. Ioncia. Edward Ross Hot Wheels. Let's ask our colleague here. Let's see if he allows us. How are you? How are you? Can you break it so I can use it in this video? Please? In sports mode, if that's okay. Ready? I'm starting. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, there we had it. The sound of the engine, even though it has fewer cylinders, the sound of that exhaust was tuned to keep that roar. So you tell me if you liked or not the sound of the exhaust produced by this Dodge Charger S-Cat Pack 6-pack. And what can we expect in terms of price? Well, one of the good news that Dodge has given us is that people might think, well, a new version now comes with a lot of technology. Wider, bigger, more powerful. Well, you'll be able to get this Dodge Charger for a pretty good price. Less than $55,000. The price is $54,900. That's why he says it's under $55,000, which he thinks is a reasonable price. Share your thoughts on the price under $55,000 in the comments. Here it is. Great test drive. One of my most satisfying this year, finishing 2025 even though it's 2026. Honestly, I'm very grateful to the people at Dodge for letting me test the 6-pack, the new 6-cylinder Dodge Charger. Well, what did you think? 2 doors. Do you prefer it with 2 doors or the traditional 4-door? Or the electric one? Well, is there any crazy person who would prefer the electric one? Let me know down there, also in the comments. Crazy about cars, obviously. Be sure you understand the reflection. I'll leave a video on one of these sides that you'll love.